Imagine you are watching a 20-year-old Ukrainian board a one-way flight to America. He is wearing thin wire rim glasses and has this nervous, high-pitched laugh. To any other passenger on that plane, he looks like a college kid who should be debugging code in a dorm room. He does not look like someone who should be sitting in first class, flanked by two burly FBI escorts. At this moment, he genuinely thinks he is about to become Silicon Valley's next big success story. He is dreaming of seed funding, a Palo Alto office, and a fresh start. But exactly 7 hours and 23 minutes from now, when the wheels touch the tarmac at JFK, his life as he knows it will end. Meet Maxim Popov. Yesterday, he walked into the U.S. Embassy in London with a deal. He offered Eastern European hacking secrets in exchange for the American dream. The agents promised him everything. They promised a new identity, a legitimate job, and full immunity. They lied. The second Popov's feet touch U.S. soil, the smiles vanish. The friendly agents who were buying him drinks over the Atlantic snap on the steel handcuffs. The visa they promised was actually a federal arrest warrant. Instead of a welcome party, he is headed straight for an isolation cell. But here is what the FBI missed. They just taught their prisoner the most valuable lesson in the history of cybercrime. If the good guys can lie this well, imagine what a master of social engineering can do back to them. Welcome back to the Digital Sleuth. Today, we are diving into a cybercrime documentary that feels more like a Hollywood thriller than a police report. This is the story of the man who did not just join the FBI. He owned them. To understand how a kid from Ukraine ended up in a federal sting, we have to look at the environment that raised him. Back in 1995, while American kids were playing Nintendo 64, 15-year-old Max Popov was discovering something much more addictive. He was learning the architecture of the scam. He started small by selling fake homework to lazy classmates. But by 16, he realized a fundamental truth of the digital age. The weakest link in any security system is not the firewall. It is the person behind it. In the world of internet mysteries and dark web scams, we call this social engineering. It is the art of manipulating people into performing actions or divesting confidential information. By 1999, Popov joined a group with a title that sounded incredibly noble. They called themselves the Expert Group of Protection Against Hackers. In reality, it was a high-level criminal syndicate. Popov's specialty was vishing, or voice phishing. He would call American companies, pretend to be tech support, and talk employees into handing over their passwords. In these early major phishing attacks, hackers used a technique called pretexting. They create a fabricated scenario, the pretext, to steal a victim's personal information. Today, this has evolved into sophisticated business email compromise scams that cost companies billions of dollars annually. By the year 2000, the FBI knew his name. They knew he had stolen millions. But there was a problem. Ukraine had no extradition treaty with the United States. He was untouchable as long as he stayed home. So, the FBI got creative and built a honeypot. They created fake job opportunities at American tech firms with slick websites, six-figure salaries, and official sponsorship. Popov, blinded by his own ambition, took the bait. He flew to London to finalize his contract. And that is where the trap snapped shut. Fast forward to a Virginia safe house in the spring of 2001. For 3 months, Popov played the role of the reformed informant perfectly. Every morning, Agents escorted him to a monitoring station where he logged into Russian hacker forums. The FBI thought they were gathering intelligence. They thought they were the masters. But Popov was typing in street Russian, a dialect of slang the FBI's formal linguists could not grasp. Under their noses, he typed a simple message: Dia Sam Smotrid. Uncle Sam is watching. He warned every major player in the underground that he had been compromised. When the FBI finally translated those logs months later, one agent reportedly threw a chair across the room in a fit of rage. They threw Popov in a county jail cell, thinking he was finally done, but one man saw it differently. Special Agent E.J. Hilbert knew something his colleagues did not. You cannot catch wolves with sheepdogs. You need a wolf. In the summer of 2002, Hilbert launched Operation Ant City. He gave Popov a laptop and $50,000 in government funds with a simple mission: shop till they drop. Popov entered CarderPlanet, the 2002 equivalent of the Amazon of identity theft. Credit cards were $1, Social Security numbers were $5, and full identities were $30. This was a massive financial fraud marketplace. Every time Popov bought a card, the FBI traced it back to the source. They uncovered breaches at hotel chains and department stores that the companies did not even know they had. It was working. But the relationship between Hilbert and Popov was becoming complicated. On Thanksgiving in 2002, Hilbert brought Popov a full turkey dinner and played Lord of the Rings on a projector. For the first time since he landed, Popov was not an asset. He was a human. That trust led to the capture of Roman Vega, known as Script, who was the founder of CarderPlanet. It was a massive win for the government. But as any security expert will tell you, a reformed hacker is a ticking time bomb. By 2003, Popov was a free man living in Huntington Beach on an FBI stipend. He started a company called Sickos, pitching himself to corporations as a security expert. His pitch was simple: I have connections to the hackers who robbed you. Pay me, and I will get your data back. It was a brilliant protection racket. Ukrainian hackers would steal the data, and Popov would negotiate the recovery. He was getting paid by the victims and the criminals. Then came New Year's Eve of 2004. Popov called Agent Hilbert and told him to check his email, because the FBI had just been hacked. Popov had found a vulnerability in X25, a networking protocol from the 70s that the Bureau was still using. He showed Hilbert a dossier on a mob boss and a spreadsheet of every confidential informant. The FBI panicked. They paid Popov's company $10,000 to investigate and find the hacker. Popov found a guy named Leonid Shalov, and the FBI gave Popov a letter of commendation. But here's the twist. Years later in 2012, Popov called Hilbert from Ukraine and dropped a bombshell. Popov was the one who hacked the FBI. He and Shalov were partners. He robbed the Bureau and then charged them a fee to investigate himself. It was a perfect performance. The FBI had destroyed the career of E.J. Hilbert, who was investigated for losing control of his informant, while they were busy praising the man who was actually stabbing them in the back. The story of Maxim Popov is not just a fascinating cybercrime documentary. It is a warning. It highlights the human factor in security. Popov did not just use code. He used psychology. He used the FBI's desire for a win against them. So, how do we protect ourselves from the modern-day Max Popovs? First, we need zero-trust architecture. In the corporate world, this means never trust. Always verify. Even if an email looks like it is from your boss, verify it through a second channel. Second, guard your personally identifiable information. On CarderPlanet, a full identity costs $30. Today, on the dark web, it is even cheaper. You should use a credit monitoring service. If someone tries to open a card in your name, you need to know in seconds, not months. Third, use multi-factor authentication. Popov's phishing scams worked because he only needed a password. If those employees had physical security keys, his silver tongue would not have been enough. Finally, be extremely skeptical of recovery services. Many people who claim they can hack back or negotiate for you are simply running the same protection racket Popov pioneered. Maxim Popov eventually vanished back into the Eastern European underground. E.J. Hilbert left the bureau. His reputation eventually cleared, but his faith in the system was forever changed. The FBI tried to turn a wolf into a sheepdog. They forgot that a wolf does not change its nature. It just waits for the sheepdog to turn its back. If you found this deep dive into the world of cyber espionage and betrayal fascinating, hit that subscribe button. We have more stories coming from the front lines of the digital war. Stay skeptical and stay secure. I am the Digital Sleuth, and I will see you in the next investigation.